Michael, just how important is this exhibition to the association?
It's actually vitally important to the association. This trade show and the events surrounding this trade show are the primary vehicle that we have to raise funds for the advocacy work that we do on behalf of the industry. So we don't really have a very strong revenue stream from membership dues. They're very low. We keep them low purposely. The monies that we have that we've invested are invested very carefully, so we don't make a lot of return on that. It's sort of safeguarded for the members. So the trade show is the source of revenue to do the work that we do.
What then are the principal issues that you're addressing?
Well, there's unfortunately always several. It's nice when you can take a break from them, but we clearly have to continue to watch the liquids and gel a problem. It seems to have settled down in people's minds a little bit because we've got the resolution for now with the tamper-evident bags and people can transit in certain countries. The concern about that is as there's more changes in who can carry what through and how much is the consumer confusion problem. And I think just when they sort of get settled on these are the rules, I know within the European community in April there's going to be a different opportunity for people traveling through the EU and where they can transit and where they can't. And for the industry it's good, but it creates another different approach than, say, the Latin American market or Canada and the US or Japan or Australia. And so I worry a little bit about that aspect. The resolution for that is still technology, and countries, governments are moving in that direction, but it's not solved yet. So
with the different speeds they're running at.
Yeah, well, that, and ultimately, and at some point this is going to happen, when that technology is really up to speed, and certainly the major duty-free regions, the quantity restrictions will disappear from a security perspective. There'll still be taxing quantity restrictions that countries will have, but you won't be restricted to a small 3-ounce bottle of this or 3 of these. You can pretty much take through what you want as long as they can detect it. So that's an issue, and we'll stay involved in that. The WHO is an emerging problem, emerging in the sense that it's starting to look at other arenas beside tobacco, which has certainly been the focus. Frankly, we've been involved in it for 11 years when it first came up with a tobacco convention. And that's not going to go away, and we're going to continue to work and do what we can to try to educate delegates about the value of duty-free, and that we aren't the problem, that we're small quantity usage, that we don't sell to minors, that we're very limited in quantities that you can buy, that there's not smuggling because of all of the bonded warehouse processes and customs controls. And so we're sort of not the issue, but we're visible and we're made to be an issue. So
you're collaborating with some of the other key.
We do work very closely with the ETRC folks in the EU, and we try to work with the other regional associations. The MEDFA and APTRA, and Acetyl gets involved, and we try to provide information to those groups as well. I think it's fair to say that ETRC and IAADFS are probably the two that have been the most active in it, and probably will continue to be. It's not to say the others aren't being helpful and supportive, but they don't have the infrastructure to really do it.
So you don't just deal with lobby issues, you also get into some of the more detailed part of the industry in terms of its operations.
We do, and in fact we've been working on one the last couple of years, which has to do with just trying to simplify the regulatory record-keeping requirements that operators are forced through customs law to follow. And some of it's just frankly a matter of letting them adopt some technological solutions versus the old paperwork requirements, and not have to keep records as long as they used to, and instead of keeping them 20 years, keep them 5 years, or whatever the example is. So there's some work around that certainly enhances their ability to operate as a business. So that's kind of down in the weeds stuff, but it's important. We have focused on this whole credit card exchange fee as part of a coalition, both with some of our European friends, and there's a Fair Payment Coalition group that we've been a member of for some years. So working to try to, because that helps us at the retail outlet, if you will. We've spent some time in the past, and we'll look at it again at the right moment, about raising duty-free allowances. And we were able to do that about 4 years ago, which made a big difference. and hopefully set some precedent for other countries to raise those allowances as well. So there are a number of other areas that we'll focus on and have had some success with.
So if you could say one thing to the viewers of this particular video as to why they should come to this particular trade show, what would it be?
I would want the reward for them to be and the focus for them to be on this business-to-business opportunity. I don't want to diminish the social component of it. And that always works, and it particularly works well when business is good and people are feeling good. But the reason you come and the reason you spend money and set up a booth and fly in and stay 3 nights or 4 nights is because you want to do business. And you want to create an environment where that's easy. And that it's meaningful, and that the people you're working with actually are placing orders and are legitimately in the business, in the channel, if you will. And I think that's the message I want people to come away with. And you know, they vote with their feet. If they come back the next year, which we have a really high return rate, then I think it's successful. And the point of that is, if times are difficult, you still are going to get the core folks coming and recognizing even more that this is the right place to come because it's cost effective. I can see, 80 customers in 3 days, and then there are lots of real reasons to do it. So it's keeping that business focus with the other social, enjoyable aspects of it as well, just the right balance. And I think that's the trick. That's what we're trying to do. And we need to add a little more educational content, which we did this year with a workshop on the WHO, and try to find a place for that. It's awfully hard to squeeze it in our schedule. But that's the reward for me.